guiding students with easy-to-use instructions using Markdown and IDLX interface. By the end of this video, you'll be able to create simple and interactive instructions using Markdown in the IDLX interface. You will learn how to incorporate additional features that will make the instructions pane easy to understand with step-by-steps that will guide your students to a successful learning experience with Lab on Demand. Let's explore Markdown. What is it and why use it? Markdown is a plain text file format that we use to write instructions in Lab on Demand. It doesn't require any special software and is easy to learn and easy to write. Let's dive into action. From the virtual machine, I'm going to edit the instructions by navigating to the hamburger menu in the top right corner. Click Edit Instructions. This will open the IDLX editor interface where I can make edits to my instructions as well as see what they will look like in the instructions pane in the virtual machine. If you are new to Markdown or have little experience using Markdown, that's not a problem. We have created a cheat sheet that you can reference whenever you need. On the top navigation bar, click the question mark icon. This will act as a guide as you learn Markdown. In the cheat sheet, you'll see a few options from changing the size of the text, adding links, and embedding content right into the instructions pane. Heading back to the instructions, I'm going to show you how to add a line break between two sentences. As you can see, the first line is all bunched together. So let's add a line between Career Rocket and onboard training. To do this, I will put my cursor where I want the new line to start and click Enter. In Markdown, you will always need to add a line between 2 points if you want them to appear on separate lines. Next, let's bold and italicize onboarding training and module 1. To do this, I will highlight onboarding training, Control B, which will add 2 stars next to onboarding and at the end, and I will highlight and Control I to italicize. As you can see, it's bolded and italicized. Now it's starting to come together, but let's add some interactive elements. I'll start by personalizing this lab to my students, and I can do that by adding a token. A token is a great way to add little elements to the instructions that can help your students or add information like username and password. Let's take a look at the tokens. Click on the @lab icon, and you can see all the different tokens you can use. But for this, I'm going to use first name for the student so that my instructions say, "Welcome Bev to Career Rocket." I will place my cursor where I want to add it. Go back to @lab token, find the first name, click highlight, and then insert. And now you can see it says, "Welcome Bev to Career Rocket." I think the next step is to make my instructions clearer. This is so my students know which step they're on. A neat way to do this is to add a checkbox next to that step. And I can do this by adding a unordered task list. Going back to the cheat sheet and scrolling down to tasks, I can see I need to add a dash, open and close bracket next to the step. Now let's do that. Going back to my instructions, I'll add a dash, open bracket, close bracket, dash, open bracket, close bracket. As you can see, when the student completes the step, they can click on the checkbox to indicate that they have completed the task. Another feature that your students might find helpful is the type text. And what type text does is automatically types in words or word from the instructions pane into the virtual machine. You'd want to use this when the text is long, like in a script, or when the student is asked to go to a specific web page. You will add the type text next to the URL. But for this, I'm going to add a type text where I have type. And to do this, I'm going to remove the word type, and I'm going to add 3 plus signs to the beginning and 3 plus signs to the end. You can see a T with a box around it, so it indicates that this is a type text, and the student will click the box and it will begin to type this, and we'll demonstrate this in a second. So the next thing that we want to point out is that sometimes your students might face some challenges. So if I want to draw attention to that important information and I don't want it to just blend with the rest of the instructions, I can add an alert box, and this will add a red box and the icon around the information. So going back to the cheat sheet, I'll look for specials and see an alert block, which draws attention to important issues. You can use this, or you can use a knowledge block, help, or hint, and the same will appear, a box with an icon. I'm going to click on the copy to clipboard icon next to alert. We're going to close and go back to where I want to add it. So I want to draw attention to this part. Click my cursor, Control V to paste, and remove all the default text. Now you can see I have a red box with an alert icon to draw attention. The last thing I want to do is put module 2 on its own page. And as you can see here, if we hit end, the lab will end, but I want my instructions for onboarding module 2 to appear on the second page. To do this, I'm going to add a line and 3 equal signs. As you can see, we have now moved from end to next. To see this in action, we are going to open Notebook. I'm going to click Type Text, and it's beginning to type the text from the instructions pane into the VM. I can hit Next, and I can see the next set of my modules. I've given you a quick demonstration on how to make easy instructions for your students, but there are so many more possibilities, like adding CSS to change the color of the font to match your organization, or embed tutorial videos to help guide your students. I would recommend that you explore the cheat sheet to see what you can do to help your students as you guide them along their learning in Lab on Demand.